Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the October 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Canyon City Historic Preservation Commission. If you will take roll today for us, please, Lester.
Lauren Flick, absent. Chris Jenkins.
Here.
Lester Lamone here. Mike Madone.
Here.
Rich Millard.
Here.
Jim Nelson, absent. Mildred Wentz, absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, moving right into our agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda and minutes for the September 25th meeting. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Lauren Flick. Chris Jenkins.
Yes.
Lester Lamone, yes. Mike Madone.
Yes.
Rich Millard.
Yes.
Jim Nelson, absent. Millie Wentz, absent.
Okay, motion passes. Moving into item number 4, the development of the guidelines for the historic downtown. Lisa, do you have a committee summation of the meeting?
Yes, we didn't meet just prior to this meeting. We discussed timeline of significance, or I should say, a time frame that we look at for our design guidelines, as well as boundaries. And we're looking at, I think we've all decided on between 1st and 11th Street, along Main Street, and to the alleyway on both sides, north and south. We're looking at, we've been discussing a lot of different things in regards to materials, and mainly facades. And, well, we're working on a plan to go forward and getting this completed, hopefully this next year. Our next meeting will be on November 13th at 4 p.m. at the museum, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything
Anything
you'd like
else?
to add to that, Lester?
I know there was a lot of things that we discussed regards to looking at other projects, potentials, what we would consider to be within the framework of appropriateness and restoration work and for alterations. So it's a process. Hopefully we'll work through it.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would add is that we intend to have, this is going to be phase 1 look, so we intend to do this in a couple or 3 different phases, but we'll have phase 1 document put together probably within the next month, but probably within the next 2 weeks for the committee to review.
Thank you, Lester. Anything you'd like to add to that, Rich?
No.
Okay. Moving on, we are going to discuss item number 5, the 2025 CLG grant proposal. Lisa?
Thank you. Over the last few years, the goal of the Colorado SHPO office and History Colorado has been to identify historical resources that have direct ties to various minority groups within the state as part of their Colorado Heritage for All initiative. And we have identified some potential resources within our own community. They've encouraged CLGs to recognize those resources, and as a small town, it's not always easy to find those resources. But this last year, in the last couple of months, we have been able to identify what we believe are about 32 to 33 properties that are still standing within the community that have direct ties to the African American families and individuals living here from 1902 to 1937. And we were able to identify them through city directories for those years. Many of them were from other parts of the country that moved here as part of the mining boom. According to one local historian, there was approximately 300 African Americans living in this area during the early 1900s. And looking at these city directories, we were actually quite a lot more than the 32 or the 33 properties. Unfortunately, their descriptions were very vague in some cases. They were listed as being alleyway between River and Water Street. Other cases, the properties have been since demolished. There were properties along Vine, Royal Gorge Boulevard, of course, or River, and Macon, and one or two on Rudd Avenue. So as for goals for the survey project, of course, is to identify and learn more about the African American community and individuals and families that were living in this community, to be able to share their stories and to record those stories. Basically to acquire a better understanding of their social and economic impact that these families had during this period of significance from 1900 to about 1937. To inform and educate the public about the influence and impact the local African American families had. And of course, to expand the focus of the Historic Preservation Commission beyond the downtown historic district to include more historical resources in residential neighborhoods. And along with this, of course, is to generate a broader public awareness of the benefits of preserving their historical resources and significant properties, specifically residential properties. And I apologize for this map. It's very, very hard to pinpoint all the properties. They range from all over the community, all the way up to River and Forest Avenue, and as far south as New York Avenue and South Canyon. On this map, there's roughly 20 that we've been able to colorize to see. As part of this survey, we'd like to be able to determine if there's any patterns of ownership with these houses. And we only be able to do that through researching property deeds and abstracts of title. We're starting to sort of see a pattern, a little layout, and some names that keep popping up. These are the properties of interest that we'd like to further research. Of course, the Townsend House, that's top of the list. 1016 Main Street. We've identified 2 generations of the Townsend family have lived in this house from about 1888 to 1955. It was owned by Henry Thomas and his wife Alice, and they raised their 3 children in that house. After Henry passed away and his wife Alice passed away, their son Archie moved into the house and lived there until he passed away and his wife passed away respectively in 1948 and 1955. This is what the house looks like currently. The other property that we're interested in, of course, doing more research into is the former church at 1002 Macon Avenue. This was built in 1906 and was used as a church to about 1913, 1914. This is the only known photograph of that church. We acquired this at the museum just this past summer. Prior to that, we had no idea what it looked like or what it was made out of. And according to newspaper articles, this church was designed by a local contractor and builder, A.C. Jensen, who also built the Baker and Biggs building on Main Street, which is now Valleywide, the Burridge Block, the Record Block, and the First Baptist Church, along with the Lincoln Park School. And you can see from the Sanborn insurance maps from 1908 on the left side and the 1914 Sanborn insurance map on the right side, the location of the church and the Townsend House on the 1908 Sanborn map. And in the 1914 Sanborn map, you can see that there was a house built on the location of the church. It's believed that the foundation of the church actually became the foundation of what the house is there currently. And it's the same building material. This is what the house looks like today. We don't
Lisa,
under.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
The significance of the church?
So the church was a Second Methodist church. It was an African-American church. And parishioners of that church were African-American. Unfortunately, we do not know why it closed. Lack of attendance. We're hoping that further research and a survey will determine the ownership and the transactions and why it became a house within roughly seven years. These are other houses that are listed that we're hoping to do thorough surveys of. 227 Macon Avenue. I have to stress that these photographs were taken probably in the 1990s, so there's probably been some modifications and changes already from these. The 408 Rudd Avenue was occupied by Oscar and Lula George. They were a family, a couple that lived in Canyon City for pretty much from the early 1900s to about 1937. 512 Rudd Avenue and 514 Rudd Avenue, right next door to each other, were also occupied by two African-American couples. 325 Harrison, and if I remember correctly, it's covered up. It is, I believe it's 1213 Macon. It was a house that was originally built in the 400 block of Macon Avenue, but was moved to this location on the 200 block in 1930 when they were demolishing most of the houses in that block for the construction of the post office building. This was the only house in that block that was saved, but was moved. And it was moved to be used as the African American Methodist Church again. So the project will comprise of at least one meeting to define the scope and to present the goals and objectives of the survey project to the public. We, of course, will invite owners and/or renters of these properties to attend that meeting or those meetings. After that, we will then do intensive surveying into each property as outlined in the scope to get as much historical data as we can on each of these resources. And through this survey, we hope to determine the significance and eligibility of these resources to the state, local, or national registry of historic properties. And at the end of this project, we will hold another meeting to present the findings of the intensive surveys to the public. And we hope to get people interested in, and if they are eligible, to get them listed on either the state, local, or national registry. We have not received yet a formal estimate for this project, but we anticipate that it will be around the max that we can ask for this grant, which is $25,000. It will go, yeah, if it goes over, we do have to get estimates in place before we apply, which the deadline for the grant is January 15th. If we go over in our estimates, we'll have to scale back a little bit in the properties that we survey or get surveyed. Does anybody have any questions?
No questions. So your deadline to apply for that is January
January 15th.
15th, and
we
you have
will-
to have
Yeah.
bids in prior to that date?
We have to get estimates. Obviously, we can't go out to a formal bid until we get the money lined up from the grant. So we'll do sort of a request for proposal to get these estimates in place from a contractor to do the surveying for us. There's opportunities to do in-kind work as part of the research if there's volunteers or staff that's able to help out, or of course commission members that would like to get involved, you're more than welcome to. We can include that as part of the grant proposal too.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions? I will now entertain a motion to approve that the staff pursue applying for the CLG grant with the presented proposal. We have a
So
second.
moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Lester, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Motion carries. And then you'll take the next step to getting that rolling, Lisa?
Yes, there's, I'll create a draft and hopefully, actually I have to get that completed before December 8th.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, do we have any general announcements?
For upcoming webinar and training opportunities, there is a upcoming webinar next Wednesday, October 30th, through the American Association of State and Local History on cemetery preservation. If anybody's interested in that, let me know. There is a fee that goes with that, but I can get you the information on how to register for that. And of course, our next meeting will fall on the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. So if we need to change that, let me know, or we can postpone or cancel it and just do our next one in December, which we have, I think, scheduled for December 18th.
Okay. I think what we discussed is we will have the design committee meeting here in 3 weeks. And if there is some additional information or need to have another meeting, we can make that determination at that date. Would that be possible?
Of course.
Okay, I think we would be okay with canceling the November meeting unless there is something that becomes something that's needed to be voted on or something that needs to be discussed, that we will reconsider whether or not to have the November meeting. Other than that, any other questions or comments? Do we have anybody in the audience who might want to have any comments? Looks like we don't have any public attending today, so I think we are safe there. So with that, I will move to adjourn the meeting today, and we will have a committee meeting here in 3 weeks. Actually be at the museum at 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you.